In this video, we'll learn more about printing. Let's read this program. The first thing that you see here is this hash. This hash is what we call a comment. When the interpreter, remember the interpreter is a program that go in your code line by line to execute it. When the interpreter find this hash, it knows that this is a line that should be ignored. So this line of 3 has no effect on your program. You can write whatever here. If you have a line of code that you think is buggy, you can just comment it with this hash. In the second line, we see print hello world, and this is going to print hello world here. So I'm making another comment here on the side to show you what is the exact output of this line of code. Now we have another print here, but this time we are using this style. So this, we call that double quote. We call it double quote. So now we see we can print with a single quote, 2 single quotes, or 2 double quotes. Both of them are okay to print something. The print, as we said before, is a command, but specifically it is a function. We will come back later to that to even write our own functions. These two things, we call them parentheses, and these are single quotes. These are double quotes. Everything here is a letter, like English letter, for example. What is between hello and world, this here in the middle, is what we call a space, as we see in the last video. This program has 2 instructions only and has 2 output lines of code only. Behind the scene, what is happening exactly? Like as we said, when we do something like print hello world, the interpreter will parse this line of code. When the interpreter finds the word print, it's going to know that this is a function. It will first expect that you will have something like open parentheses with a double quote, for example, here. This is just very informal discussion. And then it's going to search, for example, for the first double quote here. And then expecting after it another parenthesis. If it didn't go well with him, it will just complain about the line of code. So it finds the print, then it will find this parenthesis, and it's a closing parenthesis, this double quote, print what is in between. This is what informally what the parser is doing behind the scene. Let's see more of the printings. I'm here printing hello world, I am Mustafa. So the output here is hello world, I am Mustafa. What I'm writing here, there are 3 double quotes here and another 3 double quotes here. This is what we call a multi-line comment. A multi-line comment is just an area that is completely ignored by the interpreter. So from line 7 to line 16, all of that will be ignored. So now we learned 2 ways to let the interpreter ignore what we are doing. We learned about the hash, and now we learned about the multi-line comment also. Otherwise, you will have to write a hash for every line here, which might be not that best idea. Another interesting thing is what we call the \n. The \n here, you write hello, then a space. Then you see this letter in your keyboard, it's called \. \n is what we call an escape character, and it simply asks the interpreter to print a line. So here is what the printer will be doing. It will read the word hello, so it's going to print it. Then it finds \n, it means go next line, so it goes here to this line. Then it finds the word world, it's going to print it. Then find another \n, so it's going to a new line. Then printing I am Mustafa here on a new line. So this \n, things that start with the backslash are called escape characters, and the \n is one of them to print a new line. Here is another example, space hello, so it's printing space hello. 2 spaces world, it's printing 2 spaces world. 3 spaces I am Mustafa, it's printing I am Mustafa. You can definitely write 3 print lines to print that, but we can all easily make it in a single command here. So notice here now, this is a single command, is printing 3 lines. So the moral of that is the \n ask the interpreter to start printing from a new line. A very interesting also style of writing is as following: hello world, I am Mustafa. But beginners would assume that this is going to be printed in separate lines of code. This will not happen. To have them in separate lines of code, you either need to write different print commands or you use the \n. So what's happening here? We are just separating the message on several lines in terms of the code itself, not in terms of the output itself. So the way that the interpreter see it, it's see hello space world space I am Mustafa. So don't get confused and think that this is going to print 3 different lines. This is a single command of a single message that all of them are printed on a single line. In addition to printing messages, or what we call strings, we can also do some arithmetic. For example, if I say print 1 plus 2 plus 3, it will print 6. 3 times 4, it will print 12. 6 divided by 2, 3.0. Interestingly, here we can have many spaces between the print and this parenthesis. This is totally okay. 7 over 2 is 3.5. But notice here, if you put single quote, 7 over 2, now the interpreter knows that this is a message to be printed as it is, not some math operation. So this will be printed as 7 over 2. It will not be printed as 3.5. So differentiate between doing the normal math without single or double quotes and between using the single or double quotes. The last thing to learn here is about the comma. This character in the letter from your keyboard, we call it a comma. We can actually print using commas in the print function. So I can say here as following: print, and I give it here this is a message here. It has its starting code and ending code. Then comma to print something else. I'm here printing a number. Comma to printing something else. Again, double quote, double quote. Every item between these commas should be valid by itself. So this is another valid message, and then 2 times 3. Now observe here the output. There is printed, then space, 1 space. So what every comma is doing, it also printing a space. So this comma will be replaced with a space. This comma will be replaced with a space. This comma replaced with a space. So this is a single message. Again, notice it is a single command. They are all written in a same line of code. We are just separating them. In practice, we don't code this way normally, but it's still good to know about it. That's it for today. Please go ahead to IDE 1 or your IDE and try every line of code that we did today.